Hi, it's Alan from YourWeddingHub.com, and I want to welcome you back. Today I want to talk again about the ceremony, and today we want to touch on seating at the ceremony. Very important question that's asked, and if you were to look in a wedding etiquette book, traditionally the way it's done, if you are walking into that church, chapel, garden setting, and you're looking toward the front where the wedding is going to take place, traditionally the bride's family and bride's guests would sit on the left-hand side and the groom's on the right-hand side. But I have to tell you, nowadays, very, very few people pay too much attention to that. As a rule, the bride's family would still sit in that front row on the left-hand side, groom's family front row on the right. And generally, that is still adhered to. But as far as guests, there are a lot of factors. I mean, I've seen situations where the groom didn't have very many guests at all. The bride, had 95% of the guests. Obviously, it's going to look really strange if they're all seated on one side and, there are 4 people on the other side. You don't want that. So I just instruct ushers, really you need to balance it out and try and keep people, fill in the center parts as much because it looks better in wedding photos. So those are some things to think about. Another factor that comes into play, though, is when you've got parents who are maybe divorced and then they've got new partners, how do you arrange that seating? Real simple answer to that question is just get creative because there's no hard and fast rules. I'll tell you something interesting that I came across, and I have a really tough time with this, but if you look in a wedding etiquette book, if the parents are divorced, here's the proper wedding etiquette book seating. Is that the bride and her new husband would sit in the front row, left-hand side. The father of the bride and his new wife would sit in the second row. I have a problem with that. That just doesn't work for me. There may be situations where you need to do that. And sometimes I see if there's a bit of hostility between the two, then dad would sit in the third row. Well, the poor guy's probably helping pay for the wedding in a big way. So, I always say, Mom and Dad, if you can't suck it up on your daughter's or son's wedding day, you got a serious issue. And I've done a lot of weddings, I've never seen a situation where they didn't. Never seen where you even sensed any hostility. They may not have raced over and, hugged each other and shaken hands and talked, but they still sucked it up and everybody put on a happy face and it was great. So, maybe you want to have Mom and her new husband sit in that front row on the left-hand side and then Dad or, one of the other siblings there and then Dad and his wife. Just get creative, but as a rule, families in the front row of seating. Now, sometimes people will say, do we need to put reserved seating there? And no, you shouldn't have to, because I very, very rarely ever see guests that are so clued out that they don't know that that's family seating. And so you don't need to do reserved seating for family. Now, if you've got 2 or 3 rows of family, then you maybe need to do that. So that's a little bit just in terms of where people should sit. Like I say, as a rule, families in the front row and the rest is just fill it in and balance it out, make it work for everyone. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Thank you for joining me on YourWeddingHub.com. Post your questions. Post your comments. You may have questions for the dream groups that were with us a while back, or Marcia, the travel agents that were with us. Post those questions. We'll help you. And other topics that you want us to touch on, because we're here for you to help make your wedding day over the top and to make YourWeddingHub.com the only place you need to go to get your wedding tips. See you tomorrow on YourWeddingHub.com.